Shalom. This video is a brief Jewish learning session, something that personally speaks to my soul, and I want to share it with you. Why should I be blessed by myself? I want to share the blessing with you, especially for those Jews in a process of teshuvah, or Jews are becoming more observant, transitioning from a more secular past to a more observant past, or those people of the Noahide that have left the church and are converting gradually to Judaism, to join our Maspoka, to join our noble tribe. Wherever you are in your life, life is a journey, and you learn by doing, right? You learn often by making mistakes. I want to share with you the misfelt and charity in the merit of the soul. In other words, about how do you elevate the soul of a person who's no longer here anymore? Okay? There's a lot of people that understand the mysticism behind the afterlife. Christians have one view of the afterlife, heaven and hell, and demons, and eternal lake of fire, and all this. Nowhere in the Torah does it talk about this. Nowhere in the Tanakh or the prophets. The afterlife is talked about in the books of Daniel and Isaiah. Enough time, I'll get into that. But basically, I want to talk about my wife's experience with her father. Now, without going into a lot of detail, my wife did not get along with her father, and her father, to be frank, was not a very good person. He wasn't a very nice person. He wasn't a criminal. He was a typical Soviet-era atheist, secular Jew. He had a lot of issues growing up, a lot of issues during the World War II. The calamity imposed upon the Russian people in the Soviet Union era and, the 1940s were just horrific. And I don't need to it's not germane to get into that detail. But anyway, her father, by no fault of his own, grew up in a very miserable situation in the form of the stages of his life, the earliest stages of his life. Sometimes a person is ruined when they're a young person and they're exposed to insurmountable burdens and challenges upon them. They lose their parents at a very young age and things of that nature. Anyway, it was more of a blessing for my wife's father to pass away than him to live on and 120 years. He died in 2003. And I have been talking to her a lot about this since we got married, and we especially had a daughter together. I said, this is our daughter's grandfather. He's not here anymore. You should never speak evil of someone who's passed on. That's not a misvote. That's not a good deed at all. Let's work on elevating his soul. Okay, how do you do that? Well, it's called lizchut and nishmat, which means essentially the process for elevation of the soul. And where children and relatives of departed loved ones eat the anniversary each year of the Hebrew calendar date of the day that they passed away. We light a Yahrzeit candle for them. This little white candle. You can buy it at most Jewish grocery stores and things of that nature. Anyway, it's a candle that's a unique type of candle because the flame stays lit for 24 hours. And we light that on the sunset of the day of the anniversary of their Hebrew month of their death. Okay. Now, we know September 2003, for instance, her father passed away in a nursing home. And he didn't want to have anything to do with my wife. And it's not germane to go into the abuse and everything else. But the thing is a challenge upon us in the living, right? In Jewish tradition, we believe in Shamayim, we believe in a heaven, we believe in being with God, in the presence of God in the hereafter when you pass away. You don't just, your body returns to the dust of the earth, but your soul lives on because your soul is a footprint of Hashem. God, that's why we are eternal. We are eternal sentient beings, and we are created in the image of Hashem. So our soul is actually part of God. And God would never want to destroy any part of himself, okay? We are part of the wholeness of God. We are created in his image. And when we say that, we're created in his ideal image of what we should have been. I was looking at a picture of my baby daughter a few days after she was born, so precious, so innocent. She's 3 and she still is innocent and precious. I wish I could say that when she's older and a teenager, rebellious years or whatever. Hope I never have to deal with that. But anyway, God sees the very best in us. We often see the very worst of people, and we often do not let go of painful memories. Well, that's a challenge, especially of Jews. How do we deal with this? Well, first of all, we find out the Hebrew conversion. There's Hebrew calendars out there. We convert the Gregorian date standard to the Hebrew calendar date. When you do that, it actually gives you the parsha, or the portion from the Torah that's read for that week in which they died. And it's special if you read Torah parsha in memory of that departed soul. You uplift that soul, you elevate that soul. Say my wife's soul, father's soul, his neshima, is in Gehenna or Sheol, okay? That is the opposite of the Garden of Eden aspect of where the righteous dead depart to when they pass from this earthbound plane. So say if he's in Gehenna and he's spending limbo in time and twilight, and is waiting for the judgment of Hashem, okay? How do you mitigate that judgment? Well, there's a lot of things we do, okay? You can plant a tree in Israel, for instance, in memory of the departed loved one. You can, especially as a greater mitzvah, to give charity to someone who is in desperate need. You should give charity on the regular basis in the first place. But if you give charity as a memorial in the name of the person that's departed, plant a tree in Israel, and you know how important an olive tree or a fruit-bearing tree is in Israel, an arid place like that, have benefits that. Do it in memory of them. You can also purchase a vase or a vessel or something for the Temple Institute for the new temple. Yeah, we're all excited about that in the days of Mashiach. There's a lot of things we can do, but the most important thing is to remember the Hebrew date in which this person has passed away, like my wife's father. It doesn't matter what he did in the past, per se. That is for God to judge. When someone passes away, we extend this blessing. We say, Baruch Dayan Emet. That means, blessed be the God who judges truth. We say that as a blessing, as tradition. We say that every time we hear someone is departed, okay? For a personal family member, I mean, my wife's father may have been a bad person, okay, as we define bad person, was not a good father, was a horrible father, but he still was the grandfather of blessed memory of my daughter. And that's why it's personal to me. So I told my wife, let's bygone be bygones. Let's begin the teshuvah process. Let's forgive him in expectation that God will forgive his soul and Gehenna and elevate his soul to the point that when we believe when the Mashiach comes, when the Mashiach is revealed in the end days, and we believe we live in the era of the Mashiach today, because the Jews returned to Zion, right? We believe in the resurrection of the dead. And it's talked about in Daniel and Isaiah about this and elsewhere throughout the Tanakh. It even talks about that in Davarim too. Moshe, the prophet, looked at the future of the Jewish people, the redemption of Jewish people. Well, for someone who died unrighteous, who died unrepentant, in other words, he did not have a chance, or the opportunity, or lack of motivation to say, God, please forgive me of my wicked soul, or didn't do anything to try to repair his reputation before God and his family and the people that knew him. We can do this repairing, per se, this reconstitution of his reputation here. We who are alive can do this for someone who's departed. So I encourage you, if you're in this situation, you have a departed loved one, especially if you're a Jew, if they passed away, and you didn't have a good relationship with them at all. Some people are not meant to be parents, but if my wife's father did not make the choice he's dead, my wife would not be here with me and married to me, my righteous wife of today. We need to elevate ourselves, first of all, bigger than that person was, by doing good deeds, extending charity, asking God, saying Kaddish. You need a minyan of 10 men, at least 13 of age or older, to say Kaddish together. And it's usually done in a shul, in a synagogue, during normal services. We say Kaddish for those in the Holocaust, for instance, and in the Shoah. But we also say Kaddish for those people that have died in the past or recently too. We also have special meals in the synagogue in honor and memory of those people that passed away. So I'm gonna have a Yahrzeit ceremony for my beloved mother who passed away in 2010, and my wife's father who passed away in 2003. I'm going to have a Yahrzeit ceremony for my youngest son, Yehuda, who passed away as a young man at 27 years of age, unfortunately. I'm going to have a Yahrzeit for them in the process of elevating their souls. By thinking about elevating someone who's not here anymore, we actually elevate ourselves, and it's a mitzvah, and it glorifies Hashem. It glorifies Hashem. You can read about this in My Jewish Learning. There's a lot of information there. It's not germane to this topic here. I don't have time to go into the details, but I will probably plan another video about discussing how the Jewish view in the afterlife is a very fascinating subject, on how it's differentiated from Christians. But anyway, may God bless you and keep you. Remember those who have passed on. I've lost a lot of dear friends, classmates, and other Jews, people that passed on. I miss them very much, and I say Baruch ben-Emmett every time the anniversary of their death. Every time I think of them, or I have their picture when they were happier in my home, or I have them on my phone. But anyway, remember the Yahrzeit ceremony, very precious ceremony, simply lighting the candle. And if you have an opportunity to have 10 men with you, say Kaddish for them as well. God bless you. Hope these words meant something to you. Take care.